When we talk about the conflict between India and Pakistan, our minds usually go straight to the headlines: politics, borders, military standoffs. It's all very loud, very dramatic. But today we're going to pull back the curtain on a completely different story. It's a much quieter one, but its cost, well, its cost is staggering, and it's almost always invisible.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? The real damage, the kind that lasts for generations, isn't always the stuff you see on the news. So let's dive into this massive, unseen economic toll that hangs around long after the cameras have left. It's a cost that affects millions of people every single day. So what is this unseen price tag? Well, the best way to think about it is as a silent tax. A tax paid by entire populations without them even realizing it. And the thing that drives this tax, it isn't tanks or soldiers. It's something way more powerful and a lot more subtle.
Right, here's the key. Financial markets don't run on emotion. They run on cold, hard math. And money, big global investment money, hates one thing more than anything else: unpredictability. Prolonged tension is the very definition of unpredictability. And for markets, that just translates to risk. This one single factor, uncertainty, is what kicks off a massive, and I mean massive, chain reaction. And that brings us to the first wave of consequences. The second political tensions start to rise, the ripple effect begins, and it hits the flow of money and business almost instantly. Let's break down how this actually happens. Okay, so here's how it plays out step by step. First, tensions flare up. For a global investor sitting in London or New York, that just translates into higher risk. So what's the next logical move? You get cautious. You hit pause on that new factory, you delay that expansion plan, and in a lot of cases, you just pull your money out completely. And the result? Economic growth that should have happened simply vanishes into thin air. You can really see two totally different paths emerge. On one hand, a stable, predictable environment acts like a giant magnet for investment, for trade, for development. But a tense climate? It does the exact opposite. It actively pushes that capital away. And we're not talking about physical destruction here. We're talking about the destruction of confidence. And that costs billions in lost opportunities. And the pain isn't just numbers on a screen. It hits real, physical trade, hard. Suddenly, logistics become a total nightmare. The cost to ensure a shipment skyrockets. Supply chains that companies rely on for everything from medicine to clothes just get completely tangled up. And you know what happens when reliability drops? Global customers just go find someone else who's more stable. It's that simple. So we've seen the big picture, right? The impact on global investors and international trade. But how does all this abstract stuff actually hit home? How does it affect regular people? Well, this is where that silent tax becomes very, very real. It's pretty straightforward. When tensions go up, defense budgets always swell. But guess what? That money has to come from somewhere. It's a finite pie. So as that defense slice gets bigger, it literally squeezes out the funding for everything else. We're talking schools, hospitals, roads, you name it. This is the opportunity cost of conflict, and it is absolutely enormous. And who pays for this? We do. It's paid for by taxpayers directly, or it's financed through government debt, which just kicks the can down the road for our kids and grandkids to deal with. It's a direct transfer of wealth away from public good and into military readiness. And you literally feel this in your wallet. Those trade disruptions and higher insurance costs, they lead to more expensive imports, especially fuel. That means higher prices at the pump, which then drives up the cost of, well, everything. Food, getting to work, you name it. Inflation starts to creep up, and it's everyday citizens who feel that squeeze the most. The damage isn't just this immediate shock, though. It's more like a slow leak that drains away a country's entire future potential. So let's zoom out and look at the long-term systemic damage that quietly erodes a nation from the inside out. Over time, instability just grinds down these crucial economic engines. Tourists, they just stop coming. The most skilled workers, the brightest students, they start looking for opportunities elsewhere. That's the classic brain drain. Big, promising projects for regional cooperation that could benefit everyone, they just fizzle out. Even international aid agencies get hesitant to invest. And this is maybe the most important part to get. The most devastating economic damage isn't a building that's been bombed. It's the invisible loss of confidence that happens in boardrooms and on spreadsheets thousands of miles away. It's the quiet no from an investment committee that a country never even knows it received. This quote just sums up the whole tragedy of the situation. I mean, South Asia has the potential to be an absolute economic powerhouse if it were an integrated trade bloc.
But instead of trading efficiently with their neighbors, the conflict forces countries to trade with partners halfway across the world, which is way more expensive. It's like a constant weight holding the entire region back. So when you add it all up, the lost investment, the strained budgets, this leaking future, you have to ask, who is actually carrying this immense burden? Who's footing the bill?
Let's be brutally honest. The economic price of conflict is not paid by the politicians or the generals. It's paid by farmers who lose income, by workers who lose their jobs, by students whose futures shrink, by families who face higher prices for everything, and by small shop owners whose businesses can't grow. It's the everyday people who bear the real cost. And that really brings us to the final, most critical point of all. The true cost of this tension isn't something you can measure in military hardware or defense budgets. It's measured in lost development, in stunted growth, in the unfulfilled potential of millions upon millions of people. It is a debt that gets passed down from one generation to the next.
So at the end of the day, after all the analysis and all the numbers, the silent tax of this conflict really leaves us with this one haunting question. Beyond all the data, what is the price of the progress, the prosperity, and the peaceful future that never even got a chance to exist? That right there is the most expensive loss of all.